Good morning, good morning. I'll make a little bit of an adjustment. Bear with me. There we go. Okay. We are live this morning on Facebook. April the 25th of 2020. Good morning, Kathy.
6.
Oh, 20, what did I say?
27. Oh, 27th, yeah.
April 25th of...
27 of 2020.
Oh, good Lord.
26th is
I
Friday.
wonder if I wrote the wrong things in my columns. I think I did.
Well, we must need that message.
Yeah, I'll just move them. Because they were about today's reading. I can't wait to visit. Hi, Joe from Florida. Tell your beautiful bride, Crystal, hello for me. So good to see you guys. Good to see everybody on. Okay, so here goes this morning's reading, April 27th of 2020, on the right day. I read the right day. It's all about Gideon. And you know what? I'm just going to throw it out there. When I read today's reading, it's all about the coronavirus for me. I mean, I guess you have to step way back and take a high-level view of what we read today. But all we've heard for months are the numbers. The numbers. And all we've heard is, we're going to be overcome. We're going to be overcome. We cannot prevail. We don't know what it is. We don't know how to fight it. Gideon's men was surrounded and they were outnumbered and they didn't know what they were going to do and they didn't know how they were going to fight it. And then it boiled down to 300 men and one believer. One believer. You know, early on in this thing, God put it in my heart to tell us to rise up and fight. And we still need to be fighting. We still need to be fighting. I'm amazed at the division that continues to take place. I mean, and people get on their side of things and they want to be right to the point that nothing else matters but being right. And relationships are being hurt and our country is being hurt by the division. And so then I looked at Gideon. So after I was kind of amazed, I mean, I went back over this 3 times this morning. And as I was able to see the battle against this coronavirus in the battle that Gideon and his men was fighting, then I stepped back a little bit and watched Gideon as the leader. I mean, even right before the battle, God told him, you and your 300 men are going to overtake them. But if you're still afraid, take Porus down into the camp and listen, and you'll be blessed by what you hear. I mean, so we get to see Gideon, this amazing leader. If you think back to our earlier reading, God found him huddled away, hiding because of fear and unbelief. Me, not me. And yet, can you imagine what kind of communication skills it took to convince these 300 men to go into that battle? Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about a communicator. Man. And so once again, it really just, it caused me to stop and reflect. You know, last year I wrote in my column, even when it looks like the odds are against us. Wow. No, that wasn't last year. Actually, it was 2018. That's almost prophetic. That's almost prophetic for the year 2020. Even when it looks like the odds are against you. And people wonder why we can go through this coronavirus without fear. They wonder why we don't have to panic. But people wonder why. Well, then why did you isolate? Why aren't you just going about life on your own? You know what? Gideon didn't go about life as normal. Gideon prepared for war. Gideon sought God. I mean, really and truly, there's only one thing in this Old Testament reading that is worthy of repeating, and that is how Gideon heard from God and did what God told him to do. That's what we have to do no matter what the battle is, no matter what the struggle is. I mean, the coronavirus, we got people that just feel like they're at their wits' end. They're at their last straw. And then we're at this almost stage, but we're not almost. And we're kind of sorta and we're not kind of sorta. And then you read one news or social media post that says it's never been as bad as what everybody thought. And then you read another one saying, oh, the worst is yet to come. And, you know, there's a lady on here on social media that I've shared her little talk 3, 4, I may show it a dozen more times. It gets up and she just contradicts herself over and over, and she's so good at it. I mean, it's a little meme that's supposed to be funny, and it is funny, but unfortunately, it's so true it can't be funny because she talks out of both sides of her mouth because that's what's happening. You know, oh, it's the worst ever. Oh, this is nothing. Oh, we'll never have a vaccine. Well, we got our own antibiotics. Well, she's way better than I am at it, but we read Gideon, and my heart aches. Those of us that are on this video and sitting at this table have made a decision to read all the way through the Bible every year. That's why we read these 1-year daily Bible plans. We read all the way through it. We actually know the story of Gideon. We can draw comfort and hope and faith and belief by reading how Gideon, I mean, for crying out loud, God instructed him to take his men to a brook and then determined who went home by those that got their drink by lapping with their tongue like a dog versus those that cupped it and drank from it. You think God can't deal with us right now, today in America? You think this thing is too big for him? Rise and fight. And when I say rise and fight, I mean rise and fight the virus itself and speak to it to be gone. Speak to it that it can't come anywhere near you. I've got a teacher that says that he is a germ. How does he say it? He's a germ bomb, that if the germs touch him, they explode, they just die on contact. I love that kind of faith. I love that kind of faith. That no weapon formed against me will prosper. No weapon formed against me will prosper. No weapon formed against Gideon would prosper. Even though he had fear, God told him what to do in his fear. Do you know how much courage it took him and Porus to go down to the camp to listen in? I mean, one false move and they're dead. It took courage. And all of us are leaders. All of us have people that are watching us. Today, right now today, April 27th of 2020, we got people that are watching how we respond, how we're dealing with what's going on in the world. And then Luke, I'm just going to throw this out here too. I'm not making any political statement. This isn't about politics. And it doesn't matter which party you're a party of, because we have Democrats in office, we have Republicans in office, and what they did to Jesus is what they're doing to each other today. I mean, Pilate got up and said, this man is innocent. I don't want to kill him. I want to release him. And they yelled, crucify him. Do you know that we've got people in office today that the people out here literally, the mob mentality is so strong in America today that if we were on a public stand, they were on a public stand, and somebody had one on one side and one on the other and made them choose, and they put them out into the crowd, I believe they would crucify him. I believe they for sure would kill him. That's how strong the mob mentality is in America today. Shame on us. And you know what? Want to know what rose up in my spirit? This is from reading, in today's reading. You want to know what rose up in me? murmuring and complaining. We're 119 days into our reading this year because it's a leap year. We're 119 days in. I wonder how many of those 119 days of reading God has warned us, starting with, I'll say starting with the Israelites. It literally starts before then, but it's not coming to my mind right now. So let's just take it since the Israelites left Egypt. 3 days into their journey, when they were in 400 years of slavery and bondage. And in the end of that slavery and bondage, remember when Pharaoh took away the straw and took away what they needed to make the bricks, and how hard it was, and how he bore down on them, and the soldiers bore down on them to work them 1,000 times harder. They were so, they were dying, and they were so ready to be free of that. And 3 days into their journey, they started murmuring and complaining. I've been guilty. I will tell you, I'm not as guilty now as I would have been 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 10 years ago. Praise God, I'm not where I used to be, but I got a big dose this morning of careful how you're murmuring and complaining. I had a conversation with a loved one yesterday they were just determined to have me believe the way they believe, and I chose to back away and say, I'm glad I'm not the one making the decisions. I'm glad I'm not the one making the decisions. Praise God, he hasn't called me to be that one. But you know what he has called me to? He's called me to make my own personal decisions. He has called me to be a leader in my home. He has called me to be a leader in my family. He has called me to be a leader here in my community. And the number one thing I don't want them to see about me is I don't want them to see me murmuring and complaining. I want them to see me in a spirit of gratitude always. I'm so grateful that right now, today, my immediate family has not been touched by this virus. I'm heartbroken that it has touched others. And I have people that I know people that it has touched. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I don't know why. But I'm grateful that it hasn't touched us. I'm grateful that I live in the United States of America with the best medical available anywhere in the world. Even if the medical community's divided today, it's better than most. I'm grateful that I live in a democracy for as long as that democracy lasts. I'm grateful that I get to vote. I'm grateful that I get to have a say in my country and in my government. I'm grateful that I'm free, that I can sit in my dining room and read the Bible out loud and not be fearful that they're going to come in and chop my head off. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. That's what I want people to see in me. I'm grateful. I have a gracious heart. I want people to see that I don't live in fear. I live with wisdom, but I don't live in fear. That's what I want my life to stand for. I want them to look at me and say, there's just something different about her. What is it? And then I want others that are believers to say, I love it when I meet somebody for the first time and either they say it or I say it. You're a believer, aren't you? I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. You know, I love to get up and do my events and speak in front of people and have somebody come up afterwards and say, I can just tell. You're a sister. I can tell. I can tell. I love that. Help me, Lord, do more of that in spite of everything going on around here. Oh, Lord, not let me be one of the ones in the crowd screaming, crucify him. So, with all of that, I want to end with the Psalms. And it's the Psalms 98 today. Let this sink into your spirit today. April the 27th, 2020, as the storm rages all around us, Sing a new song to the Lord, for he has done wonderful deeds. His right hand has won a mighty victory. His holy arm has shown his saving power. The Lord has announced his victory and has revealed his righteousness in every nation. Did you get that? Did you get those words right now, today, April 27th, 2020, when the coronavirus has completely changed the landscape of our world? The Lord has announced his victory, and he has revealed his righteousness to every nation. Whom do we have to fear? What do we have to fear? God is still God. Early on, he told me to rise and fight and to call all believers to fight. Fight against the virus. Fight against the division in this country. Fight against the division in our families. Fight for his righteousness. And then early on, the words came to me, God is still God. God is still God. This coronavirus has not changed God. He has remembered his promise to love and be faithful to us. The ends of the earth have seen the victory of our God. Shout to the Lord, all the earth. Break out in praise and sing for joy. Sing your praise to the Lord with a harp and melodious song, with trumpets and the sound of the ram's horn. Make a joyful symphony before the Lord the King. Make a joyful noise unto the Lord. Let the sea and everything in it shout his praise. Let the earth and all living things join in. Let the rivers clap their hands in glee. Let the hills sing out their songs of joy before the Lord, for he is coming to judge the earth. Yes, shout out. Shout out today. What a magnificent Monday this is right now, today. I love y'all.